So my dear students, in the previous class, we had finished with the crystalline forms of carbon, where we were studying allotropy. Under allotropy, there were two types, amorphous and crystalline. Crystalline we have already completed, where we've studied three examples, diamond, graphite, and fullerenes, whose we have studied the structure, uses, and how the bonding is there, along with that properties as well. Amorphous form is what we are going to do today, which is the non-crystalline form where the arrangement of atoms is not systematic. The basic difference between crystalline and non-crystalline is that in crystalline form, the carbon atoms are arranged in a specific format. All the atoms are arranged to each other. As you remember the definition, where the carbon atoms have a regular and definite arrangement of atoms and the perfect geometrical shape, sharp edges and plane surfaces. And that you can say is the systematic arrangement of carbon. Whereas in the non-crystalline form, there is a systematic formation of the carbon atoms, where the carbon atoms do not have a definite shape like diamond, graphite, and fullerenes. Have you all revised the structure, properties, and uses of diamond, graphites, and fullerenes? Did you all do that? Very good. All right. So today quickly we'll move ahead with the non-crystalline form, that is the amorphous form. So to begin with the definition of the non-crystalline form, the arrangement of carbon atoms in this form is not regular. The uses of fullerenes, it's used as the insulator, it's used as a catalyst in water purification, and at certain temperature, fullerenes exhibit superconductivity. This was about fullerenes because one student was asking me this question. Again, what do you, catalyst? Catalyst is the one which takes part in the chemical reaction without itself undergoing any change. Usually, a catalyst is used to increase the speed of the reaction. Are your doubts clear? Any more questions related to last topic? So talking about the properties of carbon in the non-crystalline form, amorphous form means only the arrangement of carbon atoms in this form is not regular. There is irregular arrangement of carbon atoms, and the examples here are, I am telling amorphous ka meaning only. No, amorphous means the arrangement of carbon atoms is not regular, which means it's the amorphous form. And the examples are coal, charcoal, and the third one is coke. Can you all see this? Coal, charcoal, and coke. If you see, you might be feeling that all three look the same, isn't it? To some extent, they're similar. But let's see what is the basic difference between coal, charcoal, and coke here. The black color is only not the important thing. Yes, they look the same, but certain properties are a little different. So let's begin with the first form now. No, sizes is not a concern here. Let's first start with the arrangement of carbon atoms in the non-regular form, that is the irregular form, that is our coal. Amorphous means, amorphous forms are those where the carbon atoms are not arranged in a regular form. I hope the definition of amorphous is clear to everyone. Moving ahead, let us understand the non-crystalline forms of carbon made. The first one, that is coal. Everybody please concentrate on the screen. You don't have to write anything. I'll tell you when you are supposed to write. Does not have a particular structure means, if you remember in diamond, graphite, and fullerenes, we studied that in diamond, the carbon atoms are arranged in tetragonal three-dimensional structure. In graphite, we studied it's a hexagonal planar structure. In fullerenes, we studied that it's a buckyball kind of a structure where alternate hexagons and pentagons are arranged. So there is a particular arrangement of atoms when I talk about the crystalline form. But in the amorphous form, there is no particular shape where the carbon atoms are arranged. So that is why they come under the irregular forms of carbon atom. Okay. So now, the first one we were talking about is coal. Coal is a fossil fuel. In coal, we do have carbon, but along with carbon, it contains hydrogen and oxygen as well. It also contains traces quantities of nitrogen, phosphorus, and sulfur. It occurs in the solid state, and the four types of coal are pit, lignite, bituminous coal, and anthracite. So my dear students, we are talking about under properties of carbon, the amorphous form or the non-crystalline form, where the first example we are studying today is coal. And what do I say about coal? Coal is a fossil fuel. It contains carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. Along with that, trace quantities of nitrogen, phosphorus, and sulfur is also present. It occurs in solid state. And the four different types, it's not actually four different types, the four different stages in which how coal occurs is peat, lignite, bituminous coal, and anthracite. Let us study about these in detail now. So now I want you all to write it down. Everybody give the heading as non-amorphous form of carbon. Come on quickly. Not non-amorphous. Give me non-crystalline or amorphous form. Non-crystalline or amorphous form. In that, you write the first one as coal. First one as coal. And under that, just write these examples of peat, lignite, bituminous, and anthracite. This is only for revision purposes. Otherwise, in detail, you have to study from the textbook. Are you all writing? Do you want to write or you're not writing? We are going to write non-crystalline form or amorphous form. We are studying non-crystalline form or amorphous form. From the Vikhroli branch, Sami, will you please stop switching on your camera again and again? You're creating a disturbance in the class. The heading is non-crystalline form or amorphous form, in which the first example, first we are going to do is coal. And under coal, you're going to write the four types. Yes, the properties, but we are not writing that. Just write peat, lignite, bituminous, and anthracite. Have you all done that? Peat, lignite, bituminous, and anthracite. Very good. So let's move ahead and understand them in detail. The first one, peat. As you can see the picture here. Formation of peat basically is the first step in the formation of coal. It contains very high proportion of water and less than 60% of carbon. Therefore, not much of the heat can be obtained from peat. You need to learn these types in order because they're going to help us in the different stages that how proper coal is made. So peat becomes the first step of coal, where it is containing more of water. As it is containing more of water, when we burn this coal, we will not get much of the heat. Are you understanding? Because it is containing more of water and less of carbon. When I have more than 90% of carbon, that is when I'm going to get a large amount of heat obtained from that type of coal. Is it clear, everyone? Come on, repeat after me. Everyone, fast. Yes, these are the stages of which how coal is formed. The first one, I want everyone to be loud and clear and repeat. The first one, peat. Formation of peat is the first step in the formation of coal. It contains high proportion of water and less than 60% of carbon. So not much of the heat can be obtained from peat. So what you're going to know mainly in coal is under peat, we need to know that only less than 60% of carbon is there. It can be asked in objectives. So this is an important statement that peat contains less than 60% of carbon. Yes, these stages occur in nature. The second one is lignite. Under lignite, students, peat was transformed into lignite due to the increased pressure and temperature inside the earth. As you all know, we find the coal during mining process. So peat was transformed into lignite due to the increased pressure and temperature inside the earth. This one contains around 60 to 70% of carbon. So lignite becomes the second step in the formation of coal, and therefore more heat will be obtained as compared to peat. Yes, we find it in nature. Yes, it is there in the textbook, but I want you all to underline or write it down the important points which I am telling you, which you need to clearly keep it in your mind. When we talk about peat, we should know it is containing less than 60% of carbon. When I say lignite, you should know that it contains 60 to 70% of carbon, and this becomes the second step in the formation of coal. Is it clear, everyone? Are the two stages clear to everyone about peat and lignite? All right. Let's move to the third step now. Can you tell me what is the third step? We've already discussed peat, lignite, and the third step is Bituminous. Very good, Arman. Very good, Aishwarya. It is bituminous coal. Under bituminous coal, we're going to say that it is the third step in the formation of coal. So definitely it is going to contain more amount of carbon as compared to peat and lignite. So in bituminous coal, we have 70 to 90% of carbon and more heat will be obtained than lignite. So the amount here we need to remember is 70 to 90% of carbon. So you've done with peat, we're done with lignite, we've done with bituminous coal. And what's the fourth point? Very nice. It's anthracite. Very good, Aditi. Anthracite. Now in anthracite we have, which is known as the pure form of coal. Now this coal is hard and contains about 95% of carbon, and definitely the heat obtained in this will be more than much more than the previous three forms of coal. So we've understood the formation of coals in four different steps: pit, lignite, bituminous coal, and anthracite. Pit contains around 60% of carbon, lignite contains 60 to 70%, bituminous coal contains 70 to 90%, and anthracite contains more than 95%. Yes, we'll come to that. After coal, we are going to study about charcoal. I want you all to write the amount, the percentage. It will be useful for you. Yes, water is that much. Correct, Sivasri. Did you understand what is coal? You just have to write the percentage. You just have to write the names and percentage. And if you have your textbook with you, you can even underline it in the textbook. That is all right. Not a problem. Because anyways, we're going to use textbook as a main source to study now. So shall I move to the next point now? Before that, let's quickly do the uses of coal. Coal is used as fuel in factories and homes. Coal is used to obtain coke, coal gas, and coal tar. Under uses of coal, we have coke, coal gas, and coal tar. I'll tell you what is about coke and coal gas and coal tar, okay? Yes, old trains. Some trains used to run on coal. And the third point is coke basically is the pure coal that remains when coal gas has been taken away from the coal. I'm sure you all might be confused between these three terms: coal, charcoal, and coke. Let me give a rough idea exactly what is the main difference between coal, charcoal, and coke. Everybody knows what is coal here now. Everybody's clear with the topic of coal. Now, basically, students, coal is the rock that is dug out from the ground. That much we know all about, right? And charcoal is the man-made product that is basically made from wood. When we burn wood and keep it after a long time, and the things which we get, no, that is called as charcoal. And coke is the pure coal that remains when coal gas has been taken away from the coal. As you can see in this picture here, here you go. So when you're burning coal and when the coal gas goes off, we say that is as the coke. So coal is used as fuel in factories and homes. Coal is used to definitely obtain coke, coal gas, and coal tar. Have you heard about coal tar? Anybody who knows what is coal tar? You've not heard about coal tar before? Yes, the tar which is used in making roads. Very good. I'll say the Hindi word for that. There is damper which is used, right? When you see the roads are being made. Yes, correct. A liquid like material. Very good. Which is usually a byproduct of the production of coal and coal gas. You're correct. Very good. So this is how we get the clear understanding about coal. coal gas, and coal tar. And coal is used in thermal power plant for generation of electricity because it is used as a fossil fuel. Then definitely we want to use all these things. So once again, we'll repeat the uses of coal. Coal is used as fuel in factories and homes. Coal is used to obtain coke, coal gas, and coal tar. And coal is also used in thermal power plant for generation of electricity. Is the topic of coal clear to everyone? And is the difference between coal, charcoal, and coal tar clear? And coke as well. Very good. Coal tar is basically a byproduct. Coal tar is a byproduct which is formed after the production of coke and coal gas. So after we are making coal and coal gas, after the byproducts which are left behind is called as coal tar. No, you don't have to write all this because everything is clearly mentioned in your textbook. So we don't have to write. Let's move ahead now. This is the thermal power plant and for generation of electricity. Now under the non-crystalline form, where we move to the second type, that is charcoal. So charcoal that is usually made from animals and from the bones and horns. And on the other hand, if we talk about the plant source, they are made by the combustion of wood in the insufficient supply of air. Basically, charcoal is a man-made kind of a thing, or you can see the leftover matter which has been used. So charcoal that is made from usually that comes from the animals is in the form of their bones and horns. And when it is in the form of combustion of wood, that is from the plant source in the insufficient supply of air. Only this much we need to know about charcoal. That's it. So we move to the third topic now. Okay, we'll just quickly do the uses also. Charcoal is used to absorb odor and toxins in gases such as air. Charcoal filters are also used in some type of gas masks. Here, charcoal filters are used. The medical use of activated charcoal is mainly due to the absorption of poisons. Here, I'm sure everybody is seeing these days now, no? In your face wash and by filtering, you get this toothpaste. Yes, charcoal everywhere is used. Yeah, this is not there in the textbook. This is additional information because I expected you would definitely ask me after knowing the uses of coal, you will tell me what are the use of charcoal. And activated charcoal is also used for various health related applications. And because thanks to the technology we have today, everybody is knowing that charcoal is used in so many things. Yeah, see, toothpaste, face wash, filters, and everything. Yes, correct, Daniel. No, there is no need to write the uses. It's just an additional information for you. Nobody is going to ask you as it is not there in the textbook. Nobody is going to ask you the uses of charcoal. Insufficient supply of air because we don't let more अगर ज़्यादा oxygen आएगा तो वो complete combustion नहीं होगा कुछ. I am sorry, I don't know about that. As a filter, it is used as a filter. Yes, cosmetic also. Charcoal is basically the ones which are used by the combustion of wood and is also used by the dead and decay remains of the bones and horns of the animals. No, I don't think so. Initially, people used to do, but I don't think now anybody does that. Shall we move ahead with the third topic now? That is coke. We've done with coal. We've understood what's charcoal. Let's move to the third one. And the third one is coke. So as we discussed, the pure coal that remains when coal gas has been taken away from coal, it will be called as coke. Understand everyone, the pure coal that remains when coal gas has been taken away from the coal is called as coke and its uses are, it is also used as domestic fuel only, as you can see here. When you're burning it, the gas which is taken away. Coke is also used as a reducing agent. It is also used in the production of water gas and producer gas. These are just a common names given to the gases. Water gas is CO plus H2 and producer gas is CO plus H2 plus CO2 plus N2. And we'll talk about reducing agent first. Let me tell you one thing. This Coke is nowhere related to your Coca-Cola. As you all can see, the spelling of Coca-Cola in this Coke is also different. So no way the word, because it's spelled as Coke, is related to that. Reducing agent. Have you heard about these terms called as oxidation and reduction? Are you aware of these terms called as oxidation and reduction? What do you mean by oxidation? Anybody knows what is the exact meaning of oxidation? Very good. Reaction with oxygen. When oxygen is passed over something, any metal or anything, something with oxygen, correct. When oxygen has been added to any reaction, we call such reactions as oxidation. Okay. So if we add oxygen and remove hydrogen, we will call them as oxidation. But if I add hydrogen and remove oxygen, that will be called as reduction. So reduction is exactly opposite of oxidation. Getting my point? So when I add hydrogen and remove oxygen, it will be called as reduction. And the substances who help us in doing reduction are called as reducing agent. So Coke basically helps me in removing oxygen from any reaction. So I will call it as a reducing agent. Now, did you understand the meaning of a reducing agent? No, you can't call it as a catalyst. It is not coming out as it is. It is participating in the reaction. Definitely. So Coke contains two types of gases. One is water gas, other one is producer gas. It's used in the production. Water gas is CO plus H2 and producer gas is CO plus H2. Along with that, carbon dioxide plus nitrogen. So keep these things in mind. The uses of Coke can be asked in the exam as it is there in our textbook. Yes, correct. Poles are right. So now talking about, we've completed the topic of the allotropy, where we were talking about allotropes of carbon, under which we studied crystalline and non-crystalline form. We have completed with both the types, even the crystalline diamond graphite fullerenes and non-crystalline, that is the amorphous form, coke, coal and charcoal. Is it clear, everyone? Water gas is just the name given to the combination of CO plus H2. It is used in a lot of manufacturing processes. So they don't write CO plus H2. They usually associate it by water gas and producer gas. Are we done with this? Anybody, any questions related to this properties of carbon allotropy and everything, so that we move ahead and understand in detail about the chemical properties of carbon now? Very good. So let's move ahead with the topic today. And we come to the word called as covalent compounds. I'm pretty sure everybody now knows the meaning of covalent, don't you? Yes, very good. Covalent is sharing. I'll come to that, Arman. Give me some time because it is not related to our topic, so I'm not taking that word in between. So we are going to start with the chemical properties of carbon, where we are talking about covalent compounds. I didn't see that, Arman. The thing. So atomic number, we'll first talk about the details, basics of carbon now. Atomic number of carbon is 6. Therefore, the electronic configuration becomes 2, 4. If the last shell contains 4 electrons, and we all know that carbon, instead of donating and accepting, it is going to share its 4 electrons to become stable. This is the structure of carbon, 2, 4. The bracket should be upside. Now this carbon has 4 electrons and it needs 4 more to become stable. Either it can donate the 4 electrons or it can accept. Rather than donating and accepting, we know it is going to share the 4 electrons and form the nearest noble gas configuration of 2, 8. That is neon. As you all can see, it has completed its octet by making this sharing the 4 electrons. And that is why the valency of carbon becomes 4. And we also call the carbon as tetravalent. We call carbon as tetravalent. Tetra means 4. Valency means number of electrons donated, accepted, or shared. It is trying to achieve the noble gas configuration of neon. That is why it becomes 2,8. And this is going to occur by sharing of electrons rather than donating and accepting. And we can also say that as carbon atom can form 4 covalent bonds, it can form with other carbon atoms as well and with itself also. So carbon atom exhibit a characteristic property. It can form a chain of carbon compounds by forming covalent bonds with each other. Now, why carbon is so unique? Why entire chapter is based on carbon? The reason here is, students, because one carbon is able to make 4 different bonds. And those 4 different bonds, it can either make it with itself, it can bond with carbon itself, or it can also bond with other different atoms and form long chains. And that is why carbon becomes so unique. As you all can see here, carbon being attached to each other, each carbon is having 4 different bonds. Each carbon is having 4 different bonds. The bonds where the place, do you understand the meaning of a bond? The straight line which is being shown here, the straight line which is being shown here is a bond where electrons are being shared at the start and the end. No, carbon cannot make C2 because it has to complete its 4 bonds. It has to complete its 4 bonds. Am I going fast? Do you want me to slow down a little bit? First tell me, are you all clear with the basics of carbon? कार्बन का बेसिक सबको क्लियर समझ में आया? क्या डिस्कस किया हमने बेसिक्स में? वी ओनली स्पोक अबाउट कार्बन एटॉमिक नंबर, कार्बन इलेक्ट्रॉनिक कॉन्फ़िगरेशन, and how carbon is going to share its 4 electrons. Let me go back to the previous slide now once. Till here, is it clear? Did you all understand till this slide? Anybody has any doubts related to this slide? Okay. So we all have understood that carbon shares its 4 electrons to become stable. समझ में आ गया इधर तक? ठीक है. Now moving ahead. अगर carbon 4 electrons को share कर रहा है, it is sharing, right? Now let me ask you, oxygen. What is the atomic number of oxygen? Atomic number of oxygen is 8. Very good. What will be its electronic configuration? 2,6. What is the valency of oxygen? 2. Very good. Valency of oxygen is 2. So that means oxygen needs 2 electrons to become stable. And carbon needs how many electrons to become stable? 4. Very good. Carbon needs 4, oxygen needs 2. So if I have to bond a carbon with oxygen, if I have to bond a carbon with oxygen, 2 bonds तो बन जाएगा, 2 carbon का और 2 oxygen का. But still I will be remaining with 2 more bonds. Still I will be remaining with 2 more bonds. So I will add 1 more carbon atom here now. I'm sorry. I will add 1 more oxygen atom. एक oxygen 2 bond देगा. तो 2 oxygen कितना bonds देगा? 4, right? So 1 carbon and 2 oxygen. What is the formula? 1 carbon, 2 oxygen. What is the formula? CO2. Now are you understanding how bonds are made? Are you able to understand now, students? Carbon dioxide? Very good. So now I feel this example had made a little more simpler for you to understand about bonding. On the similar lines, I'll repeat once again, do not worry. So what am I trying to explain here is 1 carbon atom can form 4 covalent bonds. तो वो कोई भी एलिमेंट हो सकता है. कार्बन के साथ ऑक्सीजन भी आ सकता है, हाइड्रोजन भी आ सकता है, नाइट्रोजन भी आ सकता है, डिपेंडिंग अपॉन द बॉन्ड्स which they want to make. And in this way, carbon will make different bonds, different structures. So one such feature of carbon is that it can bond with other elements. And one more feature is that carbon can bond with itself. वो खुद से ही बॉन्ड कर सकता है खुद को, जैसे ये स्ट्रक्चर में बताया है। कैन यू सी द कर्सर ऑफ द माउस हियर एवरीवन? कर्सर दिख रहा है तुम लोग को माउस का? Okay, can you see the cursor now? Can you see this structure? In this structure, you see this one carbon. It is attached to this carbon at one bond. अभी इसने इसके साथ one bond बनाया. And one carbon needs how many more bond? Tanish. Ghatkopar, Tanish. Are you listening to me? Watching match and then seeing your teacher or what? How will you understand then carbon? India has already won, so there is no need to see the post-match scenes. Concentrate on your chemistry lecture. This carbon chapter needs full attention. If you are diverting your attention, you will not understand anything. You will lose the track, and there is only one statement later on. We don't understand what the teacher is saying. So might as well concentrate. And Tanish, better you concentrate in my class, all right? So here we were talking about how carbon is bonding with other elements. This one carbon, each carbon needs 4 bonds. उसने एक bond तो इस carbon के साथ बनाया और कितना bond बचा है? 3. So this is 1, this is 2 and this is 3. So any other element can come and attach here. I can easily put the element hydrogen. See if I put hydrogen here. क्यों मैं hydrogen डाल सकती हूँ? क्योंकि hydrogen का valency 1 है ना. यहाँ पे भी hydrogen डाल सकते हैं हम. क्योंकि hydrogen का valency 1 है. यहाँ पे भी hydrogen डाल सकते हैं. And we can keep on continuing the structure. Five carbon atoms extra, so what? This chain is not going to stop. This chain is going to extend a lot. It can go to n number of carbon atoms. You know your body, proteins, carbohydrates, they contain so many carbon atoms. So carbon atom is forming a covalent bond. And the one which contains this covalent bond, which are formed by sharing, it is called as covalent compound. Carbon is having 4 chains because valency of carbon is 4. No, C2 will not be possible ever. अगर तुम C2 बोल रहे हो, if you are thinking there should be a structure called as C2, okay, 2 कार्बन है बराबर. Wait, let me show this, then I think it will be clear. You are telling me 2 कार्बन ही लेना है सिर्फ. 1 कार्बन, this is 1 कार्बन and there is another कार्बन. दोनों ही कार्बन है. अभी 2 कार्बन को, इस कार्बन को भी और 3 बॉन्ड्स चाहिए, बीच में एक बॉन्डिंग, इसको भी 3 बॉन्ड्स चाहिए. समझ में आ रहा है ये? तो यहाँ पे कोई और एलिमेंट्स को आके अटैच करना पड़ेगा ना. देखो अगर C2 ही लेंगे हम, तो और बाकी बॉन्ड्स की जगह पे किसी को तो अटैच होना पड़ेगा. दैट विल बी मोर एलिमेंट्स इन्वॉल्वड हियर. सो वी कांट हैव अ स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ ओनली 2 कार्बन. C4, इफ यू आर थिंकिंग कि C4 बना सकते हैं क्या मैम, तो ये C यहाँ पे समझो 4 C चाहिए ना. इधर एक C, इधर एक C और इधर भी एक C. पर इस C को वापस और बॉन्ड चाहिए ना. ये C को भी और बॉन्ड चाहिए अभी तक स्टेबल होने के लिए. इस कार्बन को भी तो चाहिए. समझ में आया मैं क्या बोल रही हूँ? ओके, गुड. We were talking about, few students had these doubts, okay ma'am, can I make the structure of C2, means only 2 carbon atoms? I cannot make this structure because each carbon needs 4 bonds to become stable. और ये दोनों के बीच में समझो एक बॉन्ड बना दिया, 2 भी बना दिया, 3 भी बना दिया, तो भी 4 बॉन्ड तो दूसरा बनाना पड़ेगा ना. So here some other element is going to come and attach in this place and in this place. So I'm never going to get the structure of C2. Which lines? The white lines are of carbon. Yes. See, as we move ahead, your concept will get clear. Let's move ahead. And still, if you don't understand, I will again explain this. Do not worry. So, carbon compound usually form covalent bonds. So, carbon compounds are also called as covalent compounds. For example, let us talk about the structure of methane. Everybody has heard about methane, right? Don't worry if you're not understanding. Let's concentrate on this and you will understand. Have you heard about methane before? सबने सुना है marsh gas. Okay, methane. You know the formula of methane is CH4, right? CH4. So when a carbon atom shares one electron each with 4 hydrogen atoms, and it is going to form a CH bond, and a methane CH4 molecule is formed. See here, I have one carbon in the center. अब इस कार्बन का फर्स्ट शेल में तो 2 इलेक्ट्रॉन्स है. And remember, whenever a reaction takes place, do not concentrate on the electrons which are in the center. Electrons present in the last shell participates. अभी यहाँ पे देखो, this 1 electron, this 2 electron, and this 3 and 4. These are the 4 electrons in the last shell of carbon, right? They need 4 more. They need 4 more. And वो 4 कहाँ से आएगा? By different 4 hydrogen atoms. Arya, are you concentrating? Saidam, Arya, it needs 4 more bonds. और ये हाइड्रोजन का जो ब्लू कलर डॉट दिख रहा है ये वाला, this is the electron of hydrogen. Now they both start bonding with each other. Can you see the bond here I am making? Here they start bonding with each other. They both start bonding with each other. Here they both start. So in this way, each carbon का 4 electrons and 4 electrons of hydrogen. See, this is the structure. See next. They all come and bond with here. Can you see this? 4 जो red dots है ना, red dots are electrons of carbon and blue dots are electrons of hydrogen. Red dots are electrons of carbon and blue dots are electron of hydrogen. When they all start coming too close to each other, when they bond with each other, कार्बन ने अपना ऑक्टेट कंप्लीट कर लिया और हाइड्रोजन ने अपना ड्यूप्लेट कंप्लीट किया. आर यू एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड? See here, 1 carbon and 4 hydrogen and forming the structure called as methane, which is CH4. Is it still anyone who is not able to understand? I can explain again, but it is very important. Everybody needs to get this concept clear. Yes, we have a lot of examples of covalent compounds. Just give me some time, I'll teach you more. Chemistry will come to all that. What you are showing is not correct. What you are showing is 4 carbon and 4 hydrogens. You want only 1 carbon and 4 hydrogen. All right, I'll repeat once again. Wait. I want to make the structure. Everybody will see what I'm drawing now. I want to make the structure of CH4. Okay. अभी कार्बन का एटॉमिक नंबर कितना है स्टूडेंट्स? कार्बन का एटॉमिक नंबर कितना है? 6. इलेक्ट्रॉनिक कॉन्फ़िगरेशन कितना है? 2,4. Is it clear? 2,4 है. So how many more electrons does it need to become stable? 4, right? And these 4 electrons it is going to share. अभी समझो ये स्ट्रक्चर है कार्बन का. And remember, whenever an chemical reaction takes place, the number of electrons present in the last shell participates. कार्बन के लास्ट शेल में कितना इलेक्ट्रॉन है? कार्बन के लास्ट शेल में कितना इलेक्ट्रॉन है? 4. तो अभी मैं यहाँ पे ना 4 क्रॉसेस बना रही हूँ, which are indicating the electrons of carbon. These are the 4 electrons of carbon. Are you clear? इधर तक समझ में आया सबको? ये जो 4 है ना, these are electrons of carbon. Now, कार्बन को किसके साथ बॉन्ड करना है? हाइड्रोजन. हाइड्रोजन के लास्ट शेल में कितना इलेक्ट्रॉन है? हाइड्रोजन के लास्ट शेल में 1. So that is I am showing with a dot. Can you see this dot here? This is the electron of hydrogen. बराबर. This 1 electron of hydrogen, it is going to share with this क्रॉस, ये दोनों ने शेयरिंग किया, तो इसका मतलब हाइड्रोजन ने अपना ड्यूप्लेट कंप्लीट कर लिया। वन खुद के पास तो था ही, और वन इलेक्ट्रॉन किससे लिया? कार्बन से। तो हाइड्रोजन का ड्यूप्लेट हो गया। इज हाइड्रोजन स्टेबल? इज दिस हाइड्रोजन स्टेबल? एवरीवन, is this hydrogen stable? Yes. Similarly, I'll take one more hydrogen atom now. I take one more hydrogen atom जिसके पास भी एक इलेक्ट्रॉन है लास्ट शेल में, और ये इलेक्ट्रॉन और अभी ये इलेक्ट्रॉन शेयर होगा, तो इससे ये हाइड्रोजन भी स्टेबल हो गया। ये देखो, ये वाला हाइड्रोजन भी स्टेबल हो गया, इसका भी ड्यूप्लेट कंप्लीट हो गया ना। इट हैज नॉट डोनेटेड, दे आर जस्ट शेयरिंग, करेक्ट। सिमिलरली ऑन द टॉप आल्सो आई टेक वन मोर हाइड्रोजन नाउ, और इस हाइड्रोजन का भी एक इलेक्ट्रॉन है जो मैं डॉट से रिप्रेजेंट कर रही हूँ। Now they are also going to share with each other. So again, if you see a bond is formed here, and the top hydrogen has also become stable and completing its duplet. Similarly, one more hydrogen we take now, and this also has its one electron, and again the bond is formed here. So in this way, each hydrogen has completed their duplet. But carbon का क्या हुआ? ये cross क्या है? Crosses are representing electrons of carbon, and dots are representing electrons of hydrogen. So 4 carbon के crosses and 4 hydrogen के dots, that means carbon has also completed its octet. Hydrogen has completed its duplet and carbon has completed its octet. In this way, both of them have become stable by making single covalent bond. ये जो एक लाइन बनता है ना, one bond, single bond, this is called as single covalent bond, which is formed by sharing 2 electrons. जब 2 इलेक्ट्रॉन होगा तो बॉन्ड बनेगा ना। Like you shake hands, when you have to shake hands, you need 2 people, right? 2 bonds. Similarly, for forming one bond, I need 2 electrons, or I can also say one pair of electrons. I can also call it as one pair of electrons or 2 electrons. Is it clear now, everyone? Did you understand how carbon is making the 4 bonds? Let's see. So this was my structure of carbon. 4 hydrogens, they have bonded with each other. अभी देखो, ये common gap में सबका अपना अपना electrons है ना. So we get this carbon forming single covalent bond, और bond मतलब 2 electrons are being shared or 1 pair, and we get the structure of methane. Very much clear, my dear students now? अगर मीथेन का स्ट्रक्चर क्लियर समझ जाएगा ना, नेक्स्ट टॉपिक बहुत इजी हो जाएगा. वेरी गुड. So let's move ahead. Properties of covalent compounds. Covalent compounds usually have low melting point, low boiling points. They are insoluble in water and they are soluble in organic solvents. They are poor conductors of heat and electricity. They are poor conductors of heat and electricity. Come on, everyone, repeat the properties of covalent compounds. Covalent compounds have low melting point and boiling point. They are insoluble in water and soluble in organic solvents. I have already explained you the meaning of organic solvents. Who is going to tell me that? What are organic solvents? Anybody remembers? No, organic is the one which contains carbon, resin, which contains carbon. Very good. The solutions which contain carbon are called as organic compounds. Very good. Diesel, petrol, kerosene, these are all organic compounds. And they're also poor conductors of heat and electricity. And as we were discussing for covalent bond, as I said, 2 electrons are needed to form one covalent bond. So 2 covalent bond बनाने के लिए कितना electrons चाहिए? 2 double covalent bond बनाने के लिए कितना electrons चाहिए? Single bond needs 2 electrons. So double bond will need how many? 4. Triple bond will need how many? Triple bond will need 6. Very good. And we'll study about them in detail in the next topic, which we'll do it in the next class, that is hydrocarbons. But before I start with hydrocarbons, get your basics of carbon compounds very clear. I will teach about hydrocarbons in the next class, but make sure you read about the previous topic very thoroughly. I want you all to be very thorough with the methane structure and how bonds are made, then only we'll be able to proceed further. So with this, I'll end my today's class. If you have any doubts, you can stay back and ask me. Otherwise, you can leave the meeting. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you. Organic compounds are those which contains carbon as the important element. No, cyanide does not have that formula. We have used only hydrogen because in organic, always carbon is associated with hydrogen. It is only the beginning that we are doing with hydrogen. We can bond with any other element also. It is not restricted to hydrogen, but majority compounds are formed with hydrogen. Bye. Thank you so much. No, sir. It's not about adding the elements. I'll teach you in the next class. Arman, you were talking about aerofoam fuel, no? It is basically air-like substances, or which usually have characteristics of air, are called as aerofoam fuel. Oxygen is atomic number. Okay, today is Arman's birthday. Happy birthday, Arman. In the class, I am sure there would be a huge celebration if you would have been in the classroom today, where the happy birthday song never ends. Hope you have a nice day. Octet and duplet. Octet are the ones which needs to complete 8 electrons in the last shell, and duplets are the one which needs 2 electrons in the last shell.